Alright, so we're watching a Diamond 2 support on PC playing Kiriko and Moira on Antarctic Peninsula, and they say, hi. This game made me really sad and frustrated afterwards because my Tracer and tank basically blamed the whole loss on me and my other support. Constantly typed at us to take space because we were sitting on site too far back while they were making space. Sitting on site? Alright. I thought they were just not being strategic about their dives and blaming it on us that they couldn't get out. By point 3, their constant typing and rude comments really got to me, and I started making silly plays trying to appease what they wanted from me. I'm hoping you can tell me if I'm in the wrong or not, and what else I'm missing on my climb to Masters. Thanks. Kiriko's a good pick here, no problems at all. Going for some early spam. Winston and Tracer are going to be the ones that will be aggressive here. We'll see how you play this. That's a Reaper. Basically, I can show you what happened here. And this is like where as a tank, I always say, I try to pay attention a little bit more of what's happening to the backline. So sometimes when you watch me play, I kind of like flip my camera like this sometimes. And the reason why I do that is because of this exact reason. And I'll show you what happens. Again, it's easier said than done, but I'll show you what happened here. Okay? You're all setting up. First of all, give you an idea. Your Winston's in a good spot. Your Tracer's set up in a good spot. All right? Here's the problem that happened. This right here. Reaper comes in. To your team, y'all get distracted. You throw a cleanse because of a Reaper teleporting in. Try not to use a cleanse right away on a Reaper teleporting in. Give your teammates some time. They're not going to one-shot your Cassidy. And in the meantime, though, while all that's happening, right, the Winston's up here taking space, totally fine. But what does the Winston do? Doesn't know this is happening, and you fall over. So this goes as like a tip for both tank and support here. Not necessarily on the Winston fully, but I just wanted to show you what happened there and why you lost that team. Like, it's kind of one of those, the other team was a little bit more aggro in their play with the Reaper, and then it turned into that. So, yep.
They're taking the objective.
Yeah, that cleanse was fine. You were trying to keep your Juno alive. Unlucky.
Like a gentle rain.
Okay, so now your tank's on Hazard, which is a fine swap. Tracer just got staggered out there. Nothing your team can do about that one. Okay, the point just got captured. So you actually end up getting away with a little bit less point capture time, too, which is nice. You know? Angles are fine. You're not playing too far back. You're just taking angles, and they have space creation. Tracer's already in. Hazard's in. Pausing right now. Everything you've done up to this point's fine. This one is going to be questionable, but this is technically the correct play. Now, technically, if you want to get really analytical here, the correct play is probably the Hazard would end up backing away this way rather than trying to take the engagement, right? Sometimes you get somebody low, but that's okay. You can go and get that kill later on. You already got a support kill. So we'll see what happens here. As it stays in, everything's totally fine. Perfectly played by everybody there on the way that you would normally do that. So, good job. Yeah, this has been played just fine. You aren't playing too far back here. You TP'd when you needed to. Good play by your team. Excellently played by everybody there. So y'all were all doing well there on that play. All right? So far, so good.
Strength from nature.
He's playing a little bit close up, but you can back away from this. This is just doing some early poke damage. That's fine. Now, this is where your team, and I see this happen all the time, this is where the team has stayed here for too long, right? And this is going to start with the Hazard. As a tank player, I've done this before. Sometimes you're just feeling it. Then you lose kind of like this internal time and that you're not quite paying attention to. And that is that they all spawned up. When they all start to spawn up, it means that they can also kind of get some map control behind you. So if you're really far up as a tank, what ends up happening is they go to a different doorway and you're caught out. Look at the Hazard now. Now, ideally, you're going, yeah, but the Hazard's creating space. But I want you to understand that, like, this part of the map is really hard for the sight lines. So if you're the Kiriko right now and you want to keep your Hazard alive, the only way you can really keep him alive is that they engage here. The problem is that your teammates can't do too much damage here because of the line of sight that's happening. So everybody on your team is now separated. Do you see why? While pushing up here is fine, it's about the timing. You probably would have wanted to back away about 5 seconds. You know, if you want to get a little bit aggro 3 seconds sooner. So by the time they're engaging, everybody in the team is back here now. All the sight lines play into your favor, and then you can poke out their cooldowns. This isn't going to poke out their cooldowns. This is going to make them use their cooldowns aggressively on you. Next step here, I would pop a Kitsune. If you don't pop a Kitsune here, you're going to end up losing your teammates over time. You're going to get staggered out. So That's on your Hazard for being too aggressive. I pretty much called that play was going to happen from the get-go of being up there too far. The tank was just there for too long, right? Again, this comes from just experience on tank. I've done that before. Sometimes it's also okay to be like, hey, like, oh yeah, we're going to start backing up if you don't mind backing up. I'm okay with that. When people tell me that as a tank, I'm fine with that. That gives me kind of that timer. Now, would you pop Kasuna here? No. This team fight isn't really winnable at this point. Only way I would change my tone on that is if you got like 2 kills, then you 3v3 and you pop your ult. So, all I'll say is this, the more you do it, if you can learn from each good play and bad play from that, you'll start to pop off more. Just sometimes, like, players will just automatically W's. Cleanse was fine there. No one's fault in that team fight. If your teammates are looking to blame somebody there, there's no one to blame for that team fight. I called out one of those. That was a good play by the other team. Your Kitsune reaction was fine. They killed 3 as you did it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that play. I think that was what was going to happen. Swap to Moira now. You said you did this because you were getting dove on by the Winston. I'll give you the swap for now, especially because you just use your ultimate, but we'll see how you play and see if it plays better.
The objective is mine.
Reaper behind. Okay. I want to point out again, Reaper is distracting you by just teleporting in. I'm not saying don't pay attention to the Reaper, but remember, Reaper's locked out during that for a second. So use that time to back away and reposition rather than just stand there and stare at the Reaper. While you can do a really good over time damage, it's going to be your Cassidy that's going to be able to go for the follow-up initially, and then if they're low, you can do that. Let's watch it from this point of view. Okay, the Hazard and Tracer are ready to go in. There's the engagement. Okay, at this point, your team needs to set up, right? Your opportunity here is to go set up with your team because now the dive is being set, right? Tracer might be a little bit early, but not too much. Totally fine. Hazard setting up for the dive, okay? So now watch. Your Hazard and Tracer are moving to the point to drop him down a point. The Reaper teleports in, okay? Ideally, what would happen here is you would just play the distance on Reaper, right? Does Reaper do well against distance? No. So what you do is, as the Reaper's doing this and your team's engaging, you have plenty of opportunity to either drop down here, move this way, and take space creation. What does your team do? A Reaper alone has now created a 3v4. It's not even about you and the Cassidy turning around. It's about where your Cassidy and you are positioned. If you go this way on the rotation, now the Reaper's out of range. Now you can do the same damage, and you can also help your teammates, right? Instead, the Reaper, again, has teleported, caused this backline pressure. Everybody's getting low in your team, forces out an early Juno ultimate. Now, this is also kind of your, honestly, truthfully, like your Hazard, again, I think is staying a little bit too long up there. At the same time, I've seen some really good OWCS Hazards. They overextend a little bit, and they survive. There you go. Team takes a team fight, but I wanted you, again, to see where you kind of took yourself out of the team fight by just a Reaper teleporting in. This is totally fine. You're going to probably fall over. I was going to say, I want you to think about something when you fade out there. Go to a spot that's going to force the Winston away from your team and isolate them from the team. Notice how the Reaper tried to teleport in. No one overreacted to the Reaper. You got a free kill. See what I'm talking about? Good job. See what happens there when you don't overreact to the Reaper? Again, when I say, I'm not saying don't react to the Reaper. I'm saying don't overreact to the Reaper. All right, keep that in mind. Actually, are you going to lose this team fight now, even though you should have won this? Your aggression's fine here, by the way.
Surrender to my will.
Moira has a long range on heals. I wouldn't say it's that long of a range. All right, so try not to waste your resources like that by just spamming your heal. I mean, maybe that's what your Tracer saw because they got killed by the Winston there, and they're like, "You're playing too far back." But yeah, you know this. I wanted to pause for that moment. That was great. Good Moira ultimate. Again, good survivability there too. Set that up. So good first round. Again, I kind of showcased where everybody was making their good plays, bad plays, etc. We'll see how the next round goes. Drop's fine. Stay with the teammates. Tracer got picked off. point out the first team fight there was because of the lack of being aggressive. I run into that, you know, I will say, as a tank, I do that sometimes in Entliczeq Peninsula. I've learned just to be more aggro there. I also just go like Ramatra on this map now, and I just take the cross there. I don't. Against that comp, you just can't let them get map control. And the more pressure you put on the Winston right away, the less they can do that. So. I don't know, am I wrong to say that so far, outside of being distracted by the Reaper, your playstyle has fit with exactly how your teammates are trying to play? And that this round, the tank was the one that wasn't aggressive at the beginning. Again, I've been there in that tank's position, so I get it. Sometimes it's like you don't want to overextend, but you also like have to look at the comp they're running and not give them too much map control. Like the hazard being up there is fine, that was fine. And then backs up at a perfect time. So well played by both of you there. Now keep in mind, there's a high noon Cassidy, so your teammate dying to the high noon Cassidy, that's again not on you. Like you can't. Yeah, I don't think you're playing far back there. I think your team is basically shouldn't have died to the high noon. And that was it. Just the high noon got a kill when it shouldn't, and now you're here. Welcome to
Surrender to my
go. Popping your ult. Juno died early. Good for your team. You're being aggressive with your ult as much as you can. Using damage orbs in order to get the res off. You have to back away now, so if your teammates die here, it's not really going to be on you. That's a little bit of an ambitious position by you, but it's still fine.
This ends now.
Keeping your teammate alive. Hazard ults a random wall. Might have gotten somebody, which is good. I mean, I feel like you, Hazard, and Tracer popped off right there. Am I wrong? I think that was a good play by everybody. The ambitious, aggressive play worked out. Again, careful of getting killed by the Sojourn there when you're playing that aggro. Hazard needs to back up the lead. Yeah, I know what's happening, by the way. Here's what's happening. I think what's going on is the tank is wanting the team to play more aggressive up there, but then when they get grinded out, they automatically see the teammates have fallen back. But in reality, the team backing up here is a little bit correct because you can't hold those corners, right? You need to take team fights in advantageous sight lines. So if you're constantly taking aggressive plays in non-advantageous sight lines, this is what's going to happen to you. You're going to fall over time. Again, it's the idea is to bait out their cooldowns, not have yours be baited out by them just taking the map on you. So, or like not taking the map, but like playing too far up and too close. That's on you. You peek the Cassidy there, you take a bunch of damage, you survive it, but like, again, this goes back to what I'm saying is like their team is doing a really good job of forcing your teammates to use your cooldowns, when in reality you should be getting their cooldowns out while also playing it like safe. Your team has not done that, and you've used so many cooldowns to survive when playing too aggressive that you're not able to win the team fight when you need those cooldowns the most. This is a team issue right now with that. Where like it's just being played a little bit different than how you want to do it. You have to launch your ult here, you know that. Yep. I'll be real with you. Kind of saw that happening there. It's okay to use your fade to a safe spot like this and then pop your ult. I want you to see something. You ready? If you're right here and you fade this way, what do we have? We have cover, we have an angle to heal your teammates, and you're in a good spot. Instead, you decide to fade kind of around here. So remember, think about where your position is going to be. This is why I prioritize it. In Overwatch, as people get better and better and climb, you're going to see all the same stuff that you see. It just happens less. Right? Or you're going to do those plays that just happen less. Doesn't mean the plays don't happen, right? It's, you know, I'll be in a top 500 game and it's a top 100 lobby and somebody falls off the map on Rialto. Go back on Kiriko. You know, playing angles. Remember, there is a Sojourn to your right, so you can take a little bit of extra. Yeah, there you go. Using cover. You're good now. Only way you would really move from that spot is if your teammates move in. Okay. Sight lines. Sight lines. If you're a tank player, sight lines. Whenever I fall over as tank, this is usually what happens to me. I don't think about the sight lines, and I think I can be healed through 100 walls. Now, if you're going, hey, Can Kiriko TP in and cleanse? Of course. Would that be a good idea? I don't think so, because all you're doing is going into the back line here to fall over. How many times, and I've done this before, and I'm sure people in chat have done, how many times have you been like, oh, I have 4 on me, what's going on? This is what's going on. Everybody's in a fine spot. You just went too deep. A little bit too aggressive. That's it. You know? You can follow up to that.
Get them off the objective.
All right. Dude, happens next. But a rough start. And again, these are 2 team fights we've seen lost because of the decision making at the beginning of the team fights. Not because, you know, you're not hitting your heels.
Let me balance you out.
Correct DP. Good play. I said, you know, now that I see that and I say correct TP, good play, you know, honestly, I looked at your vision. I didn't really see the Sigma. I'm not going to question that decision making because it is so hard to not do that. That was fine. I think you technically made one of the plays you could have made here. That isn't a bad play. I think the Sigma just played it well. The Sigma recognizes you did that and turned around. Honestly, there's a world where you'll play against that Sigma doing that and they won't even turn. They end up getting the res and then it looks a lot worse than it actually is of a play. Again, I look at that as you and your Hazard end up being on the same page. You went in. Sigma made a better play. Yeah. What are we doing? What's
Under my protection.
Good stick by your Tracer. TP's fine here. Yep. I'm okay with that TP. Again, reason why I'm okay with that TP to show people the whole team set up over here. Look at the sight lines you have. TP in there, you have cover here. If they do shoot at you, you have cover here, which you've taken. Your teammates can follow up and save you at angles. This is why it's a good play, right? Because it's into a safe spot. I just want to show people that for whoever wonder how they can like TP as Kiriko more aggressive. Don't be afraid to shoot shield here a little bit. When you're in this neutral, don't be afraid to like do some pop shots in the Sigma shield, right? A lot of people look at the Sigma shield. I want to pause it. I don't mind this Kitsune, good Kitsune. A lot of the people won't shoot a Sigma shield. If you're never shooting a Sigma shield when it's up like that, thank you. As somebody who has a lot of hours on Sigma, you not shooting the shield when it's just sitting there and nothing else is happening is a win for me. So just be very careful there. You probably could have had 3 shots on the Sigma shield there, and you're like, that doesn't seem like a lot. I'm telling you, it adds up. It goes a long way to that shield breaking. And that's why I'm saying, you know, if you're not going to shoot the shield there, look at the shield. Again, you put pop shots on that, it's a little bit different. That is a weird play there. The Hazard went a little bit too deep. You couldn't have saved them. But it wasn't really a bad play by Hazard either. I think that's one of, again, I think the other team has made a better play. Straight up. Cleanse was early there, but it worked out, so you don't need to re-engage, and that's your problem there. I think sometimes what you're doing is like maybe it was just a communication issue with the point, and I wanted to touch the point. You don't need to touch point there. Wall climb. Let your Tracer tap point. Survive. That's the number one thing you can do there, and that's how you win the team fight, right? What would happen normally in a game here is what you would do is you'd have your Tracer tap the point, you start wall climbing around here. If the Moira gets distracted by you, it isolates them into a 1v1. Then the Tracer can either kill the Moira after, or if they start going to the point, you still have a time in here where you can like get behind them, you can heal your Tracer, and next thing you know, your Hazard's back, right? Instead, you kind of just run to the point, and I think that if you played a little bit safer there, you have a much better opportunity, all right? But it looks like your teammates might win that team fight, which is good. So obviously that ended up being a problem, you know?
Soothing your wounds.
Okay, here we go again. Now this part where the Hazard's playing is fine for now. Okay, I'm gonna pause when there should be a little bit of backup. Shouldn't be a backup. Hazard out play. Now that I see it, you're making the correct reaction. Good play. I think they ulted into a Sigma shoot. I gotta see this whole sequence. I wanted to see it from your point of view. Now let's see it from this point of view. Okay. Hazard has ult. Hazard has ult. Gets 1 in the ultimate. Okay. So, again, instead of, like, sidestepping the shield, the Hazard ults into the shield, so some people survive it. Then there's a Okay, so now here's the ult. The ult's done. Wasn't a good ultimate. It ended up getting 1, but look where the ultimate is, right? It's on a good ult at that point. Okay? It was the idea was correct. It's just the shield play. Then after you look at the ultimate and go, okay, so this is what would happen. I'll give you what what would happen in this situation if I did that, right? I've had ultimates like that Hazard before, right? And I've done this before sometimes, and you'll hear me go, crap, I just shouldn't try to follow up on that because it just wasn't the best ultimate. The ultimate got out cooldowns, all right? And sometimes that's a win. Sometimes your ultimate isn't what you predicted. It wasn't good. It happens, right? What does the Hazard do here after the ultimate's like, okay? Rather than being like, hey, I got Sigma Eat out, I got Moira Fade out. I mean, Sojourn's gonna have to really overreact to this play, and they're not gonna have cooldowns here, so they make the next play. What happens? Your team dives in and runs in a straight line. Hazard runs in a straight line at them, gets rocked, falls over, and then says it's a support diff, right? The idea of being aggressive here is Hazard's okay. It's the timing, and then what you do if the play doesn't go as planned, right? That's the next step in Overwatch. If the play doesn't go as planned, you have to make that quick audible and change that, right? So, while, yes, could you do more in those situations there? Like, you can't... It doesn't matter who your support is there. If that's your team's reaction to an ultimate like that, it's probably a low percentage team fight for your team. So... And we can pause it right here because we know the game's about to end and you're going to lose the game there. My take on this, I think this was a play style issue where I think your teammates had the right idea of playing aggressive. The aggression timing wasn't good. You had some good decision-making. You had some bad decision-making. We talked about it. I think this was one of those issues where I think players just wanted to find something to blame, and then it had to be the Kiriko and then the Moira earlier, right? That's what it had to be, right? I showcased all of the moments where I think there was a little bit of a decision-making thing, and I think that's what made the difference here. I really do believe that the decision-making at the beginning of 2 rounds by your team, and then the way that your team would follow up to ultimates or aggressive plays was just a little bit off, and then the other team just had really good reactions. This was fine. I think you played fine. I just think the other team played better, and your team was on the same page. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like the video. Subscribe to the YouTube. If you want to watch more of these type of reviews or other really fun stuff we have on my YouTube, like the box here, you'll see it. My videos. They're good. No bias, I think, right? Hope you all have an amazing day / night.